Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Rule 34 podcast. I'm your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-host.
Dom? Yeah.
All right, so we're back. Did we record last week? I can't remember.
We did.
That's right. Okay, yes, we did record last week. So, how have you been, mate?
Sort of okay. New things have happened, and I kind of feel pretty physically bad about it. Upcoming things are going to be happening soon as well. New experiences are probably going to pop up. But it's been like any other week, kind of, sort of. Pretty much.
All right, it was good to hear. How has school been so far?
School's been pretty weird, champ, if you catch my drift. But, aside from that, school has been okay so far. I've been up with my works. But, I think the thing with school is that the majority of my classes, even for the class for my last semester, the final exam is, the great majority percentage of your final grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't really see the point in doing, homeworks and stuff like that if that final exam is literally gonna determine whether you pass the class or not.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, the homework is definitely worth it in terms of getting the extra points. In case if you don't do the greatest in your final exam, however, those final extra points from, projects or quizzes or, homework assignments give you the extra points. But, in terms for the other students who either score really high or really low can determine whether they drop out from the class or, pass the class entirely.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. And, what do you say? Jax, I want your thoughts on this. Do you think at this point, now that, your perspective now, 1 year, almost a year in college, virtual college, do you think it's at this point about simply learning what's going on in class or just simply passing the class, just trying to, get by from the class?
I would say it's the same as the past 4 years of my school experience in that it's all about passing a class and getting a certain grade than just learning. Except, I feel like even though I've been in how would you say in college, and it kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
What's it called? How would you say, because the classes I'm taking or have taken so far, because since I don't really know what I want to do, I've been trying to take different classes to get a feel. Right. Since they're not exactly going towards whatever major I'm looking at, because I don't have a major right now, it makes it more so I'm going into these classes to learn. I was telling my dad the other day that it was funny because when I started off, if you remember, I ended up having to drop a class and the only class available. This was the first quarter. I had to take this art history class that was museum studies. But because of that one class and because of how well I liked it and liked learning the stuff, because as I was telling my dad, college experience so far has been kind of different just because of this. I felt like I was actually interested, or I started gaining interest in a lot of the stuff I was learning, which is why I've taken a couple more art history classes after that one class, because it was interesting. So each class I've taken has also gained my interest, and so it's a mix. There's some classes where I feel like I'm only taking it just to pass, and then there's some where it's for the first time in a while I'm genuinely taking it because or I feel like I'm enjoying and actually learning a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a big difference from previous years of high school and stuff, where it was majority of it was it wasn't we ourselves as students were trying to learn this stuff. It was more so we're just trying to do what we can to get a good grade.
Yeah, I agree. And do you think this is gonna keep going on for the next 3 years? Like even if like let's say we go in person, like if we were to go back in person to like sitting down in physical seats, looking at an actual in person professor in an actual school setting, would you like still keep on like that? How do you call it? That just to pass the class type thing?
I think similarly, it would be a mix. Because much like high school, colleges, for some reason, also make you take a bunch of classes that really have no point in taking just because you got to fulfill requirements.
Oh, true.
So for those classes where it's like you're just trying to fulfill a requirement, it's going to feel like that. That you just want to do what you can to get the grade. And what you'll see in a lot of students is they just put in the bare minimum to make sure they pass. Because
right.
They won't even, like, they're caring for the grade in the sense that they care that they pass, but they don't care what the grade is as long as it is a pass. But I do think once you start going back in person and you start getting maybe hands-on experience or just like, in-person learning about whatever it is you're either majoring in or interested in, if you're lucky to have a major that you're actually interested in learning about, then you'll start to do it more so for the learning, and like as you're learning, I guess you could say the passing of the class will come along with it, as it will come as like as a result of it instead of like that being your main goal.
Right.
Like because you're learning, you're able to pass because you've absorbed all this material versus you're absorbing all this material solely to pass, but like it's not like you're actually learning or retaining a lot of the information.
Yeah.
No, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, personally, I feel the same way. I feel like when it comes to taking general ed classes, you mostly want to simply try to get by just to simply pass. But for like those like major like requirement, like those classes that are like major requirements, like prerequisites, those make you want to retain the information more, knowing that if you're just simply in those classes just to simply pass and not retain the information that you were taught, you're kind of screwed when it comes to like getting into even further like that are more, how do you call it, more difficult prerequisite classes.
Yeah. And
how do you say? I'm not sure if that's 100% enforced. If that makes sense, now that we're online, especially for like the students that are that they already were in their junior or senior year. Like that, since everything has to be online, they're pushed to like further get their like degree in like in a specific major, kind of decreases, if you know what I mean, compared to if it was all back in person.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, that's all I got to say for that.
Well,
I guess
you could say to have a more positive outlook on school.
Oh yeah.
Like I know we sounded very like negative in a sense from our last episode, but like the one thing people should know is that like I said, it was an episode just to simply voice a lot of frustrations that may have simply been like slowly building inside us, Yeah. But it wasn't us just like how would you say it? It wasn't simply just anger. It was us trying to give a critique on a lot of the issues with schools.
Right.
And simply just trying to say like things need change and like how to change them. And of course, we're still, like, as I said, still having a positive outlook on it that things can improve, It wasn't us just simply saying, oh, this is bad and that, like, it's not going to change. It was us saying, this is bad, but we're still, like, pushing through it. Like, as you said, not making any drastic decisions just because of a simple, like, fault or anything, We're simply, like, saying what our frustrations are, but we're acknowledging that like we're still going through this because we have hope for things to get better in the future.
Agreed. Mm.
But other than that, I feel like life's been good overall.
Yeah.
And like hope for the future, as I mentioned, we're hoping that I don't know about you, but are you hoping that by summer hopefully things ease up a bit so that like hopefully start seeing like friends and family more?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, like, if the push for vaccine starts to spread out for everyone, um, honestly, hope for like a how do you call it, like a pre-COVID type of environment. I'm pretty sure people are are still gonna have to wear masks. Maybe a little bit of social distancing here and there for for like malls, like movie theaters, or like very crowded events. But like just to simply go back out and just hang out with your friends. Like the first thing I want to do is watch a movie with the men.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned theaters because like I don't know about you, but did you ever like pre-COVID? Did you ever find it awkward when like you would just be sitting next to someone you didn't know at a movie theater?
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know if it was just me, but like it always felt like awkward, and like for some reason I always felt like I couldn't react properly when watching a movie when there was someone I didn't know sitting next to me. Like the biggest example I can give of that is if you remember when we went to watch the Rascal movie of that anime movie.
Right.
I think you remember like when one of the scenes happened, like to show how much of a shock it was, I basically almost jumped out my seat. But that's because I was sitting around people I knew, you, my dad, Gio. But like compared to like when I went to go see like Endgame, I think the first time I saw it, like I was with my family, but I was like next to people that I didn't know, so I was like there was a lot of stuff, but I was like, man, I don't want to make it awkward for the person next to me.
Yeah.
But now, post COVID, I think we can expect either theaters to enforce like a distance, like at least like a 1 seat distance between each group, or like people themselves to start doing that themselves. Wanting to put a distance between them and the other groups of people there.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching movies is definitely something I hope to get back. I think me, the biggest thing I want back is Barnes and Noble. And, I still remember that one time we just all went and chilled at Barnes and Noble, if you remember that, like looking around.
Yeah, but I didn't have any money to buy anything, bro.
Yeah, see, that's the difference. Pre-COVID, I didn't have money to do anything. Post-COVID, I have money now. All thanks to the school, right, Dom? They be giving us that
true.
bread. Now we can actually pull up to Barnes and Noble and, to the disappointment of many, spend like hundreds of dollars on books.
Yeah. I think like the good news that could come out of this is like the help that is offered to us. Like in terms of financial side, because Berkeley, as I already told you, has just simply given me $1,400 for just simply being like a low income student, and like this was like some sort of like stimulus check. And so like I'll use that for my savings. Of course, I'm not going to spend it all, but you never know if there might be another stock market increase, as with what Dogecoin happened not too long ago.
True.
Apparently, for those who don't know, in the cryptocurrency market, Dogecoin like increased like substantially. Like people made thousands of dollars from like little like 5 cents, 6 cents, 10 cent increase.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's pretty crazy.
These people, man, they know how to manipulate and make bank off the stock market.
Exactly.
And this is even with the whole, you remember, crisis with the whole GameStop and AMC thing where they were trying to stop people from doing it.
And it's only making the poor richer, which is a good thing.
It's always a good thing. until you get stuck in a point where everyone's rich.
True. Or you start seeing red numbers and you start losing money more than what you invested.
True. That's the risk you play. It's like gambling. Just because you put in a lot doesn't mean you're going to get more.
True that.
Well, what's another thing you hope to gain back, like post-COVID? Or at least post-quarantine, you know?
I mean, being able to like walk on campus and take classes for like school, for school-related stuff, walk back on campus. For friend-related stuff, go back to Game House. I really want to go back, but I'm not sure if they're going to open up anytime soon, even post-COVID.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to recover because for those who don't know, Game House is a place located near Glendale. And what it is, it's like a small shop area. And it just has when I say a bunch, I mean like it's a ton of just different like board game and card games and stuff like that. And like it's only $5 for entry. And you can stay there for however long you want, you know. They have food and drinks for your time there, and you just spend a bunch of time there just playing all these board games and stuff. And it was something Dom, myself, my dad, and 2 other friends of ours, Oscar and Diego, would go. And sometimes we, if we had the room, we'd invite other people as well. But we'd show up and just spend hours there, you know, conversing with each other and playing these different board games. And it was always a fun experience for us.
Yeah. And what was the last time we've stepped foot inside?
It was probably February 2020. Because for those, or to give more context, we would do it about once a month. We would make it a thing for us.
So it's been a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year and like 2 months now.
Jeez, man.
I think, you know, to add on to the whole thing of just appreciating things before they're gone, I think we'll probably make it a thing to go out there maybe more than once a month if we can. Like maybe increase it to twice a month just to cherish it before it goes away, you know.
Yeah.
I hope they get a resurgence like Barnes & Noble does, though, because I don't know if you knew this, but when the whole COVID thing happened and quarantine and shutdown happened, Barnes & Noble was actually close to shutting down, but the thing that saved them was the people wanting to buy manga.
Oh, really?
Like, they weren't selling books. They were close to shutting down, but then because of the whole anime and manga community, they were buying so much manga and, like, pre-orders and buying their stocks and everything that they were able to stay fully in business.
That's cool.
It's crazy how much influence anime has.
It does, yeah. I think like the anime market or like the market for the Western side in terms for Japanese animation it's way more than what, you know, the Japanese animators actually like think there is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the Western audience, like I don't know, obviously we don't know about the Eastern audience, you know, out there and stuff, but like the Western audience is just so willing to throw, like, I don't want to say throw away, like it's a bad thing, but like sometimes it's a bad thing, but they're like willing to just dish out so much money for whether it's the manga, the anime, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the big things is stuff like the figures and like memorabilia. They're willing to dish out so much money for that type of stuff, like especially when it comes to figures. Like,
dude, oh man, like figures can go from like 200, 300 to like 500,000, 500 bucks.
Yeah, and people just dish out that money like it's nothing. They have to be making they either have to be making some type of bank or they have to be saving up that much, you know, that they can just look at something that's 500 and say, yeah, I can afford, not that I can afford this, I can afford to purchase this and not have to like worry about anything afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, I know both you and I, like, we'll look at, like, a figure maybe that's 60 and we'll be like, don't know if we can make that purchase right now, you know? Meanwhile, there's someone who, as soon as it goes live, they're already hitting purchase because, like, they have no regards. It's crazy. Speaking of big purchases, what is a purchase that you've ever made that was, like a big purchase? and like you feel it was totally worth it?
I think it would be shoot. I have a bunch of big purchases. For example, my television, my PlayStation 5. I recently bought PlayStation 2 as well.
What about your recent purchase? I don't know if you can consider that one a big one, but your recent purchase that you were showing us in the group chat.
Oh, yeah. I bought a PlayStation virtual reality the thingy majiggy. It's basically, like the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vibe. I think it's called HTC Vibe. Basically, it's virtual reality for the PlayStation console, and it was like around $160, 180 around there. But then it didn't come with the controllers, so I had to pay an extra $70 for those things because they go from around 100 to 124 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some on eBay. And they're coming in today actually. As the time of this recording, today Friday, they might be coming in around 8 p.m. Right now it's 11:40 a.m. But it might come around 8 p.m. So I'll finally be able to play shooters or horror games or
And what about
interactive games?
What about the other thing that you essentially purchased to go along with it?
Oh yeah, and I also bought a racing wheel. It's called the Thrustmaster T150 or something like that. It's basically like a simulator racing wheel where you can play racing games, but not use a controller with just your with just your fingertips. But now you get to use your whole hand, and use your feet for the pedals, the accelerator, and the brakes, as if you were racing an actual vehicle. Obviously, the 100% simulator, is not there, but you get a one-up in terms of experience. But combine that plus the virtual reality lenses, and it completely changes your aspect on games. The first time I tried it on, this was a Gran Turismo, it's a racing game.
Mm-hmm.
I tried on the virtual reality, and I tried the racing wheel, and I went for 10 minutes on one race, and I started sweating hard, dude, and I felt super nauseous the entire time. Because in this race there was a bunch of twists and turns and kind of going downhill and uphill. And I think I'm pretty sure what your body perceives of what you're watching, it pumps more adrenaline, or it tries to conform with what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started sweating immensely, and because I was doing rapid movements with the wheel, and then my body kept perceiving as if I was actually driving down a mountain or driving upwards a mountain. And the worst part of it was that I got nauseous the entire day, and I was nauseous the entire day at work as well.
Dang.
So, but I did try some. I think it's called ginger, powdered ginger. Bless you, Chief.
Thank you.
Powdered ginger apparently reduces motion sickness. And I also recently bought on Amazon these bracelets or something like that. They're for $7. And apparently they're meant to reduce motion sickness by simply blocking a specific nerve.
Oh, dang.
I don't know how that works, but apparently people buy them all the time for car rides, or if they're seasick, or they don't like airplane rides. You know what I'm saying? And I decided to buy one. They're coming in today as well.
Interesting.
And and with the PlayStation controller, what do you call it? They call it the PlayStation Moves, which is basically how do you call it? Controllers for virtual reality. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get to feel you're actually moving your hands within a video game. And I'm seeing how that's going to work out soon. But overall, the virtual reality aspect absolutely blows your mind in how technology has expanded. You feel me?
Yeah. So, all in all, would you say that big purchase was worth every penny?
It's only worth it. At this point, I'm not 100% sure if it's worth it. It's only worth it once I am able to tolerate the motion sickness. If not, then it was an absolute waste of every cent. But if I could tolerate it, then it was worth every penny.
I
So I'm gonna keep practicing myself, if that makes sense.
All right. Any other big purchases?
Anything other big?
Was that oh my gosh, what was it? Was it the Lego Overwatch set worth it?
Yeah, sort of. Although I thought it was gonna be a bit more larger, but I mean, it's kind of late for that now.
True.
But I mean, it looks nice. I'm not gonna lie. The figures, the actual models of Diva's mech and Reinhardt's suit looks pretty nice. I ain't gonna lie. Although I wish there was like a bigger model. Like you could have like a small model, and then you could build a bigger model for a bit of a bigger price. But I mean, it's too late for that. Also, the $300 Lego that was bought. If you remember, Jack.
Is it the giant car?
Yes, the giant Porsche.
Yes.
I was thinking of buying a second one, which is a Bugatti of it, which has like 1,000 more pieces, and the Porsche has around 3,000 pieces. So you can imagine like the scale of how difficult things can get.
Dang. Where would you fit that?
I honestly I wouldn't know. My PlayStation already fits in a huge part, already like blocks off a huge part of like where I place my video games and stuff like that. So I wouldn't even know.
Because going back to the manga thing, I haven't bought a lot recently. I stopped buying recently because like I don't have the space for it, So, dang, I wonder where would you even fit that thing?
I might have to like move some things around.
Yeah.
Because like behind my television, there's a lot of cables that I have not managed to what was it called, wire management. I have not. It's all just tangled up in there. So I feel like if I were to move away a lot of the tangled mess, I'd be able to maybe put a bigger Lego in there, I guess. But yeah, well, what about you, Jack? Have you made any huge purchases that you either regret or don't regret?
So thinking about it, I can't say like similar to you. I can't say I've made like a big like purchase at one time. What I'm going to do is group in a bunch of stuff. Like this is my way of cheating this question.
Right.
I am going to group together because of the sum total, probably, of all the art supplies that I've bought over the course of the past year or so. Because, okay, we took, what was it, studio art, 2D studio art, right? That was the AP course senior year?
Yeah.
We took that, but I didn't start buying art supplies until we went into quarantine, because I think, as you know, because you sat close to me for that majority of the year, I only used really pencil for a lot of my artworks. I didn't like going into like color. But then I found out about alcohol markers because Miss had let us use those Prismacolor ones. Yeah. And so then that was my first purchase, was buying like the 12-pack of that. And then like it just spiraled from there, because as I started getting more into art, I started wanting to expand my my supplies. And so I have a giant collection of alcohol markers, all purchased separately, but like I said, grouping them together costed me a lot. Buying a bunch of colored pencils, specifically the Prismacolor ones, costs a lot. The amount of sketchbooks I've bought for different reasons, a lot. The different portfolios I've bought in to keep my art safe and like essentially have a nice little display for it, so people, if they want to look at it, they can just flip through. Like I said, all the different like art supplies, where it's been, the stuff like actual art supplies, like a bunch of pencils, pens, markers, color pencils, like I mentioned, sketchbooks themselves, oil pastels, watercolor set, Uh, I have a bunch of like complementary items to help with art. Like not necessarily supplies themselves, but like to help with my art.
Right.
Take it as a whole, I've spent a lot of money for this one hobby, but you know, I would say it's worth every penny because not only is it like a really fun hobby that's expanded my skill and helped me like rediscover my love for art, but at the end of the day, makes me happy. And at the end of the day, if something, for the most part, if something makes you happy, then I think you could say it's worth every penny, as long as it's not in an unhealthy sense.
Yeah. I think it's about passion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like you can't just spend money on something that you think might make you happy for like a couple seconds, but it has to make you happy for the long run.
Yeah, I think you see that in a lot of people. They're like impulse shoppers,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They'll solely buy something because like they see it and they think it's cool, and like it gives them that short burst of happiness, short boost of happiness. But because it's so short, it's a repeated pattern. They continually make those impulsive purchases because they're trying to get that, boost of happiness.
Yeah.
Whereas and like they're trying to fill a whole void there.
Right.
That's why I said when it comes to art stuff, it's, for me, it's a good thing because it's not something where I just buy these art supplies and like never use them. I pretty much use them for the most part on a daily basis, but then there's, I think as a lot of artists and really most people, whether it's artists, musicians, writers, anything, they can tell you that they'll hit that point where they hit like a block and it takes them a while to get out of it before they start doing it again. But for the most part, it's a daily thing where I use a lot of these supplies for different things.
Yeah.
I can't say it personally, but you want to know what's definitely a big purchase that a lot of people regret?
What?
Purchasing Fortnite skins.
Oh, man.
Or
I think
not even just Fortnite, but just any game in general where they've wasted in real life money for in-game currency to get like cosmetics in game.
Yeah. I wanted to expand on that. Like, I think the reason why I never buy skins or like specific things from games is because I know, like for example, Call of Duty, right? I'm pretty sure in the vast variety of the games that they've thrown out, they've thrown out like skins, like DLCs packs, and like weapon packs or whatever. But it wouldn't matter because 1 or 2 years later, another game will come out with different sets, of packs. Yeah. And so basically rendering all the things you wasted on the previous game pretty much useless because you're not going to touch those things once the new game comes out.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like, how do we say this? Except for the time being. As we know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Cold War, they pretty much share the same, how do you say it? The same game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like weapons that you bought from Modern Warfare are transferred to Cold War and vice versa. And so technically all the things you've bought in Modern Warfare is technically now wasted because you get to use it in the next game.
Yeah.
And but for the other games, like let's say you bought a skin for Call of Duty Ghosts, or you bought the Snoop Dogg announcer pack on Call of Duty Ghosts. It was cool back then, but it's an absolute waste of money right now.
Yeah, yeah. And the one thing I can proudly say I never bought into was stuff like loot boxes.
Exactly.
Like to this day we still play Overwatch, but like I can tell you that not once have I ever, no matter what skin I wanted out of an event in the game, I never once said, yeah, I'm gonna dish out, I don't know, $10-$20 on these loot boxes. Because why? Because you're gambling that you even get it. Like,
true that.
It's the same thing with Rainbow, but except like Rainbow essentially is like it tells you if you want a guaranteed chance at at getting the skin you want, you have to buy like the full bundle with all the packs in order to get everything. Whereas,
Yeah.
Overwatch, it's like a full gamble where it's like, hey, there's no guarantee you even get stuff from this year's event. We might just throw last year's event stuff at you.
Exactly.
And also, there's no guarantee that all the stuff you get out of these loot boxes is even good or even, makes it, how would you say, like, there's no guarantee it's actually worth it in a sense, like it's not like there's no guarantee that what you pull is worth what you put in.
Yeah. Agreed.
Much like the stock market thing. You could put in a lot of money, but there's no guarantee you're getting your money's worth back.
Pretty much same as well.
Yeah, man. I feel bad for a lot of the people who've put like money into things like loot boxes or skins that like especially like you said, like for games where it's like a yearly thing.
Right.
Like if there's a new game coming out each year, like 2K.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna point that out. And like
2K.
with like other sport game like FIFA.
Like I'm gonna say 2K just for the most part because I have like a thing to say. So not only are you wasting $60 each year for the new game each and every year, think about it like this. For the people where they're playing the My Team mode or the My Career mode, think about the people who spend like actual money to like get the in-game currency just to like upgrade their character or their team, and all for what? For next year to be the new game, and they repeat the process.
And I'm assuming you can't like transfer like
Nope, no
players.
transfer. There's no transferring whatsoever.
Oh,
Start
no.
anew each and every year. People wasting hundreds of dollars each and every year on all this stuff. And, a lot of content creators do it, and it's because, like, they're doing it for their fans and stuff. But, like, man, as a content creator, you really got to sit there and think to yourself, I'm really wasting hundreds each and every single year to get all this, like, stuff just for it to not even carry over. Like, that, to me, has to be the biggest situation of making big purchases and it not being worth every cent. Because the fact that there's a new game every year, man, they're just robbing you at that point.
I think it's like, what do you call it, for EA. This is EA, right?
That's for
or is it 2K?
It's 2K for Madden and FIFA. I believe it's EA.
Yeah, I think it's just like the financial incentive that they gain from this.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think that they care too much about the players themselves.
They know,
because I'm pretty sure
they know they're gonna buy the game each and every year, no matter what. It doesn't matter what they do. The game could be absolute garbage, and people are still out there buying it, pre-ordering it every single year.
Yeah, because I've heard that last year the NBA introduced like a sort of like a pachinko or like a gambling, like literal gambling, right?
Mm-hmm.
To like gain like players or like currency, and like that's so scummy. I don't. Oh man, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the same game every time. Maybe with a couple new players or like different story, but it's simply the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe graphics improved a bit, but nothing new.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up EA because they're known for this, man. They make you freaking spend money like on the tiniest of DLCs and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the Sims, right?
Oh yeah, The Sims. I forgot. Like I think they said like you would have to spend like all this money. I think it was like close to 1,000 almost just for like all the expansion and DLCs.
Yeah, and like the expansion DLCs only include like character decoration and like furniture to throw in, and that's it.
Yeah, EA is the biggest one that gets away with this stuff somehow.
And what I hate is like I believe they called like loot boxes and like these sort of things surprise elements, kind of like a Kinder Egg toy, if you know what I mean. So they don't see it as gambling when buying loot boxes; they see it as simply a surprise element. as you were opening a present that someone gave you. You don't know what it is.
Yeah, EA is really weird with things. I mean, we even saw like, weren't there like countries banning like the loot box system in their like countries and stuff because it was essentially gambling?
Yep. But I still think they got away with it. I believe
they probably did. They probably found a like loophole or something.
Yeah,
it's freaking companies trying to make the most money they can. They're gonna find a way.
Pretty much.
But I mean, what can you do at the end of the day? Can't really do much in that situation.
Yeah, because people are gonna buy the products, and like, because there's pretty much they monopolized.
Yeah.
Like for the specific game, like no one else is gonna buy any other FIFA, any other soccer game or basketball game or football game, right?
Yeah, especially because it's not gonna be as made as well as a lot of these games are. And you know that's saying something when the game can be bad, but yet it's not bad enough that like some other like company can try and capitalize on it and actually make a better version. Or if they try to, it's not even up to the level as that. And the big thing is also a lot of these players, like essentially their rights and like their personality. I don't know how to say it. Like I forget what the word is, but that like they're signed to that company in a sense, and so it's not like a lot of them can go and work.
Oh yeah, true.
Like some of them have exclusive deals with like 2K. And so it's not like if EA were to try to make a different game, they can get like accurate face scans and stuff like 2K does.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what more can you do?
I don't know.
All right, mate. We got about 2 minutes left. Shall we just close it out here?
Yeah. I also want to point out one more thing, though. But, like, yeah.
All right, go ahead. Real quick. 2 minutes left.
Yo, Jack.
Oh.
And also, one more thing is that I kind of see the PlayStation VR, and off topic, I know, but the PlayStation VR might have been a waste of money because Sony is releasing a PlayStation VR for the PlayStation 5. With like upgraded, upgraded, how do you call it, motion reflection in terms of like camera to display who you are, like your goggles and whatever and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the version that I bought was meant for the PlayStation 4, but it has backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5. But Sony's releasing a new one probably around 2022. So it might have been a waste of money.
Well,
yeah,
that's how things go. Gotta take some risks sometimes, don't we? But so, we'll close out here. I want to thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Rule 34 podcast. As always, I've been your host, Jack.
I've been Dom.
I want to thank you all for joining us for another episode. As always, the door is open for anyone and everyone to come on here and discuss with us, So, thank you all. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, if it exists, we have an opinion on it.